This is DJ Dub of the Fantasy Couriers, and we are proud to partner with Underdog as the official sponsor of the Fantasy Couriers podcast. If you haven't done Underdog yet, what's holding you back? Take a chance, jump on. This is draft season, and Underdogs has many best ball drafts that you can join in on. So during the offseason, go to Underdog, join a best ball draft. Keep an eye out. There might even be some Fantasy Couriers best ball drafts coming up. And during the season, great pick'em contests that are live now for in-season play. Go to UnderdogFantasy.com or download the app. Use the promo code Couriers, and you will get your deposit matched up to $100. Let me say that again. Deposit matched up to $100. So what's holding you back? Jump onto Underdog, have a blast, enjoy, and let's get ready for the show.
Happening, fellow fantasy GMs. I am JJ Wang. He is the bearded one, DJ Dub, and with our powers combined, we are the Fantasy Couriers.
Well, JJ Wang, it's been kind of a cool week. I've been, as I've mentioned over here, a Fantasy Pros expert for a year. Through some dumb luck and emailing a dudes, I've been doing rankings, just poo-pooing around with them, and I found a section on the Fantasy Pros writing place where they ask like random questions, and I was featured 4 times on the Fantasy Pros expert page this week. Kind of a cool little thing. I'm putting a couple things together to throw them on our website, but it's kind of cool. We now are officially known. Like it says, it goes links to our podcast on the Fantasy Pros page every time someone reads about like sleepers and a couple of running back questions. It's kind of a cool week.
Yeah, kudos to you. I mean, people know the Couriers for you, because I in no way want to be referred to as an expert in absolutely any form of life, because I don't have any expertise in anything. So therefore, I don't want to be called an expert. But no, it's great. Good for you. I mean, you put in a lot of work. I mean, this is what you said you wanted to do when we started this. I mean, this was your goal. I mean, I don't want to say you've gotten your goal yet, but I mean, you've taken the steps to where you want to be. I mean, it's obvious. I mean, great job by you.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. Like really, part of the goal of this was to, put something out there fun. And also my wife is probably more grateful because I have someone to talk fantasy with, and it's not her, because she doesn't care who Najee Harris, Miles Sanders, Devon Achane, and who was the other person? I forget who the other person I highlighted was, but who they are. She could care less. So she's like, good, not talking to me. But yeah, we are the Fantasy Couriers. If you're listening to us out there on your podcast site and your Apple Podcast, which it looks like about 75% of you guys are, give us a positive review. That's how Couriers Nation grows. It goes out. It moves us up the rankings. Give us a positive review. If you're looking at our handsome faces, I got a new haircut. I have the I showed her a picture of Seth Rollins. To get like that that's my long goal, but he only shaves the sides. Kind of weird. So I got like a shave all the way around, so my hair's growing. I just got to wait till I want to be like you one day, man. I want to be just like you. That's by the
time you get, I'll probably end up cutting mine. By the time you get to that point, we'll just switch roles.
You have my old shaved haircut, but yeah. So you're seeing our handsome faces here on YouTube. Follow us, hit the little ding, pop us up, listen to us. I can always tell how many people zap through, and because it does like an average watch through, so it's kind of cool to see people checking us out. These are usually our few biggest shows of the year. People want to hear us. They want to hear our rankings, but leading into the bold prediction show, we always take a couple of guest hosts from around our listeners to join us on that. If you'd like to do that, hit us an email, pop us a link, share, but give us contact that hey, I'm kind of interested. Tell us why you'd want to be on that show. Share us with somebody. Share us on your Facebook page, social media. Share with friends. Get anything you can do to promote the Couriers, and you might be the lucky guest to ask. I do have some cool news. Chad Parsons just dropped off once again his bold prediction for us, and I have another podcast that I was able to connect with who is going to be sending in some bold predictions as well. I don't want to leak it out here in case it falls through, but like we have some people from around the fantasy world that are going to pop us some bold predictions. So Chad, I thanked him and he jumped back in. I was like, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, good for you. It's like you're just like this person that goes out there and reaches all these other people. Like I said, you've got a skill I don't have.
I can type an email and I have summers off. Let's be honest.
It's more than that. You've got to have the attitude of going out and actually talking to people. I mean, I can use a keyboard and I can send an email, but I've got zero desire to use an e-board to send an email to actual people. If that makes sense.
We're there. So, but yeah, Chad will be on, and I'm hoping the other show pops in. And I've hit up a bunch of other sites. Usually some we get ghosted because they probably get a million of those a day. And I do love seeing your Houston Texans mug as you're getting a drink there.
Uh,
Davis Mills season, is that what I'm hearing after the CJ Stroud flop as we get into
yeah,
quarterbacks?
evidently CJ Stroud is the worst quarterback to ever appear in a football game. So Davis Mills is back.
Also, everybody, one last bit of housekeeping, then we're jumping into the quarterback rankings show for you. And we are having the Fantasy Couriers Bonker Crazy Wild League. If you'd like to be a part of that, keep paying attention to some notes that will pop out. It's going to be a league towards charity, but the rules are astronomically crazy. Of about 12 spots, I'll pop that out. We'll select a charity to send money to, and then we will play against the Couriers. We'll talk about you in the week. Maybe the winner gets to come on the show and talk about how amazing they are. But let us jump into quarterbacks. JJ Wang and I both have different approaches for looking at when ranking players. I like to go with the standard rankings, and as I think I've mentioned some of my redraft stuff earlier, you can't live and die by rankings. You got to have different thought patterns that go into that. When I give some of my redraft tips, got some more coming later. JJ Wang is a tier based ranking. He'll tell us about that once we jump into his section. As far as when he looks at rankings, if he looks at things, he bases upon tier. That's his love more so than just a straight 1 through 16. I did get to cheat a little bit this year. My rankings I can download from my site, and I was able to plug and play, which made it a little easier when creating my list here. So we're gonna basically go through both of our rankings. They will be, if you're not on YouTube looking at the rankings, I will be posting them on our Instagram and our Facebook page and our Twitter page. You can see both of our rankings on there, and you can look at us, tell us, wow, you guys are geniuses. Look back in December going, holy cow, that guy was terrible. DJ Dove, how do you like Daniel Jones or Russell Wilson that much? I don't know, but you can come back, look at them, but they will be out there forever for you to see. And we each have JJ Wang hasn't seen the players associated with each page yet as they came through as I got them before the show. So I'll start off here. I'm going to highlight a couple people. On the screen, I have rankings 1 through 16. Nothing super out of the ordinary. We've already talked enough about how stupidly high I am on Tua, which could be one concussion away from being quarterback 52 or a bunch of passing yards up. But the guy that I want to highlight that is probably different than some people's top rankings is I do have Jalen Hurts at number 2 over Josh Allen. Many people would disagree with me, but I think Josh Allen's rushing yards are going to come down some, and that will catapult Hurts over because in fantasy the rushing yards do hit him up there. That's why I moved him up there. But I mean, it's a splitting hairs moment, correct?
Yeah, it doesn't make much make sense. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if Hurst actually finishes QB1. I mean, he has that potential. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, I don't want to say he has a down season, but he has a season where he finishes number 3. I mean, it's still a great Patrick Mahomes season, but there's obviously 2 quarterbacks that can finish ahead of him. Hurts with his good team, great running ability. He's just set up to succeed, and if he finishes first, I mean, it's definitely possible.
I mean, nothing out of the ordinary. Mahomes, Hurts, Allen, Burrow, Tua's my odd man out. We'll argue that all off season. Then Lamar, Herbert, Fields, and I got Dak at 9. I'm always been higher on Dak than many other people are. I just feel that Cowboys offense is set to boom. Like Dak could end up in that Herbert kind of area because there's not a lot of mobility left because he's getting older. But him and Herbert could see similar numbers.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if Dak finishes as, let's say, like the number 6, number 7 quarterback. I mean, he does throw a lot of interceptions, so that kind of hurts his fantasy points, but they're going to throw a lot. Yeah, there's going to have some hopefully a decent run game, but the offense is set up to throw, and that's what's going to happen. And there's going to be a lot as long as he stays healthy for the whole season. But that's all these guys as long as they stay healthy for a whole season. But yeah, a lot of interceptions, but also a lot of yards and touchdowns.
Yeah, the one guy on there that I have that I think a lot of people ignore often is Kirk Cousins there at number 13. A lot of people they'll be like, ugh, he's that guy that you put in there and you kind of hold your nose and you put him there. But Kirk Cousins has the best receiver in football, or one of the 2 best receivers in football, a couple of great ancillary weapons, but he puts up yards. he's just like the middle guy that you hold your nose, but you play and you later on are glad you did.
Yeah, I don't think anybody feels that way about Cousins any. I'm not gonna say they don't. I think they're definitely probably. But I think less people feel that way about Cousins anymore after the fact that he's done it for like the last what 10 years. I mean, it's not. He's literally been this quarterback for 10 years. So I don't think anybody Cousins really surprises anybody anymore. They just hate taking Cousins so early because it's Cousins and all these other names are just brighter and bigger and more of a story. And Cousins is just like I suck in the big game. Well, guess what? The big game really doesn't count for fantasy football, and he has plenty of games where he doesn't suck, and that's what matters. So, yeah, I think Daniel Jones or Kirk Cousins is fantastic for how his career is taking him.
So to wrap up from my 9 to 16, it was Dak, Trevor Lawrence, Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, Kirk Cousins, Daniel Jones, Jared Goff, and Aaron Rodgers. Quick questions before I go to the next screen. Am I too high on Russ and too low on Rodgers?
No, I think that's about right. I think Aaron Rodgers should be. Oh, I think you're definitely lower on Aaron Rodgers. I mean, honestly, Aaron Rodgers and Trevor Lawrence being so low and Tua being so high are the only issues that I have.
Yeah, Trevor Lawrence, like I would have no problem putting him up there at 6, 7. Like these rankings, like when I did my running backs for the show, or the next show coming up, I've changed a lot. Like the good thing is they're fluid. So my rankings are fluid. If you want to see what I have now and what I have by September, it might be different because I have the ability to do that on the website by just click and drag to update my rankings. So 17 through 37, it's Stafford, Kyler, Derek Carr, Geno Smith, Anthony Richardson, Sam Howell, Ryan Tannehill, Brock Purdy, Kenny Pickett. I'll be honest, right there within that, I wish I had put Kenny Pickett higher. I move him up, down, left, right because I'm with a lot of the people in the community that think the Steelers are going to be better this year. That's why Kenny Pickett is my highlighted player on the page. They're not going to be, Trevor Lawrence better, but he's got people to throw to this year. And I think he's going to play really well.
I mean, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't argue with that. Kyler Murray's kind of worries me a little bit because I don't know how much he's going to play. Is he going to get 15 games? Is he going to get 12 games? Is he going to get 8 games? Who knows? But and Anthony Richardson, it's that one kind of scares me. I'm not going to. I mean, that one worries me more and more, especially just for for this season. This season, I'm really scared. And I think Pickett, I think you're a little low on Pickett. I think Pickett has ability should be up there with Geno Smith and Derek Carr. I don't see them being that much better than him.
Yeah, I think this section is going to change, especially since I don't have a number 18 if you're looking at the screen. So that will update when you see the screen. I have Matthew Stafford at 17.
Oh,
Kyler.
I've already seen a few mistakes on mine that I'll point out. So
Oh, nice. So it's Kyler's the guy that at this point I'm willing to take the risk because Kyler, I think, will be playing by October. And if you build your team right, you can have Kyler for the stretch run. And if he is getting you through those late bye weeks or he's that QB2 you have on your team, not bad to have. I mean, we don't know how he's going to come back. So it is a gamble. It is getting there. And I'll be honest, the Kenny Pickett, I agree with you. I'll probably, by the time draft week pops up at the end of August, he probably will be above Geno. And you know my thoughts on Richardson. Not a fan that much at all, but I think he's going to run so much that playing Anthony Richardson will get you more yards than Ryan Tannehill throwing for 3,500 yards.
yeah, I just don't think he's going to have the running success that people think with his lack of throwing. With his lack of throwing ability, I think it's gonna be rough goes for him this year.
They make me look really smart if he did. Then wrapping it up, Baker, Jimmy Garoppolo, Jordan Love, Desmond Ritter, Mac Jones, CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, Colt McCoy I threw in there, Will Levis, Trey Lance for you, and Kyle Trask there at the end.
So can I go first?
Yeah, go for it. I'm just
The
this is
fact that
all my
the
nose.
fact that Baker Mayfield and Jimmy Garoppolo are above any of them quarterbacks is all I really need to say. I would so much rather have Love, Ritter, Mac Jones, Stroud, Young. Well, after that, the rest of them aren't even starters.
Yeah,
But
they're early season or late season.
Mayfield and Garoppolo to me are the two worst starting quarterbacks in the NFL.
Yeah, see, I think it's where we split. Like Jordan Love could sneak up, and I'm excited about his Romeo Dobbs kind of connection going on. Ritter falls in with a bunch of these guys, pretty much from like Sam Howell to Desmond Ritter. It's kind of like, okay, these are guys that we're not really sure. We're going to hold our nose, and really they're our QB3 in the super flex. Hopefully, you don't have to use them. Mac Jones, ugh. But yeah, the rookies, I didn't know where to put them. I gave Richardson a little bit because he's gonna have the legs, and I saw some guy who actually had Bryce Young and the Panthers in the playoffs, which is just crazy talk.
Yeah, that is kind of crazy.
Yeah, the last couple guys just put because of when they'll play. Colt McCoy's gonna get the first couple months. Will Levis, if the I think they'll give him a chance to see if he's any good. If the Titans stink, which they might not. Trey Lance, that was more throwing you a bone, and Kyle Trask because you hate Baker so much. I threw him in there, but. Uh, I'm higher on Baker than most. I don't think I could put him higher, but we'll see what happens.
Oh yeah, there's no way you can. The fact you got him that high amazes me. That's amazing. So we'll go to mine. Tier based. I don't like ranking these guys 1, 2, 3. Honestly, because it just takes too much time. And you'll sit there. Well, I want this guy at number 3. Then you'll get 3 quarterbacks later. Then you're well, I want to switch out number 3. Put this guy at 3. Put this guy at 5. So it's just one big disaster. Plus, I'm a very biased fantasy player. I think that's part of my fantasy issue. I'm sure a lot of people are biased. Some people can kind of separate that kind of stuff, but I can't. I have a bad bias, a good bias towards players. So I went a little different this time. I usually try to be more professional with it, but this time I just went to the way like I just want these quarterbacks on my teams. So the first tier, I went with 5 guys. I know it's a lot. Most of the time, the first tier is Mahomes, Allen, and Hurts. But I threw in Fields and Jackson because I think they're both going to be great. Fields came on strong at the end of last season. I think he plays just as well as this year. Lamar Jackson got the money. He's still going to run. All these guys run except for Mahomes, which is kind of what you want in fantasy, and that's pretty much how my tier 1 went. And if I got any of these guys as my first quarterback, I mean, I'd be just stoked.
Yeah, I have no arguments except for Fields. I'm not as bullish on Fields as many people are. I want to see more. I mean, the Bears team is just it's a pretty terrible team. And he got DJ Moore is everybody's like, yeah, you got DJ Moore. DJ Moore, yeah, so he'll get 2 touchdowns and
So
he'll
the
get
only so the only thing you need to see more of him is complete more passes. Everything else is going to be there, but he doesn't need to complete that many passes because he's going to be running so much. So that's why I put him there.
yes. I mean, I would have him in tier 2, so nothing out of the ordinary. He'd be like tier 2 cusp 1 if he starts passing. Kind of like what I mean. This is Lamar right before the MVP season, right? Lamar Jackson was in that kind of an area, and then all of a sudden he passed just enough to make that running so super valuable that he was where I think Lamar.
Absolutely. So I think there is a little trouble with Lamar Jackson. I mean, it was iffy here, but I mean, he got paid. I think he's going to reform back to his old self. In tier 2, these are the guys that could absolutely be in tier 1, but they kind of lack that running ability. They're going to throw for a lot of yards. I got Trevor Lawrence probably at the top, and he would probably be my next quarterback taken. I love this guy. He can also provide you with some running ability, not great. Then I got Burrow. I know he got hurt. I'm not really sure what's going on there, but I'm confident he's going to play. Herbert just got paid. He'll resort back to his old self, I'm sure. And then here I got Cousins and Rodgers, 2 old guys. I think Cousins always ends up in this spot every year, so why not start drafting him there? And Aaron Rodgers, I think a big bounce back from last year. I think the team is going to be good. He's going to throw a lot, and he's out for revenge on this one.
Yeah, see, I love that spot for Cousins, and the thing about that spot for Cousins is it will probably end up with you not getting anybody from tier 3 if you keep him in, if you're drafting based if someone looks at yours and they go by that because you can get Cousins so much probably later than almost all but the last 2 guys in your tier 3. Herbert, this should be his good year. I was talking about at our auction draft. Like Herbert's that up and down. It's funny if you look at his career, he had a great year. You're great, So it's like, oh, this should be a great year.
But he's only had last year was the only year that he didn't play well. He got injured. His other seasons were fine. He's been a top quarterback literally since he has stepped into the league.
Without the running, can he ever leave tier 2, or does he got to have like that like Peyton Manning type season?
I mean, I think he can definitely do it, but I think he's going to have like 48, 49 touchdowns and 5,000 yards. But that's all these guys. That's Joe Burrow as well. Trevor Lawrence as well. I mean, I'd pretty much say they're the exact same quarterback as far as fantasy goes.
Yeah, like Burrow seems to get a little bit more of that like that Tom Brady kind of junk where like he'll sneak in.
Yeah,
So he gets a little.
because I mean, I think the offense throws a little more. He's got Chase and the other young Higgins. I mean, he's got so you
Brandon
got.
Martin too, out of Clemson.
I mean,
We're terrible.
obviously their wide receivers are better than what Herbert has, and the offense is probably a little better. But I think that and relative, they're all about the same. And in tier three, I got Tua and Dak. I can easily put Tua and Dak both in tier two. I don't have a big issue with that, but after they just kind of scare me a little bit. I mean, I got Dak a lot. Tua, I mean, he could definitely be that guy. I just want to see it, just like you want to see it for Fields. I gotta see it for Tua because you can't put Tua at 5 and say you've seen it, and then put Fields at 10 and say you need to see more because you've seen about the same. Golf, I got a lot of respect for Golf after last year. He played fantastic. I don't see much change in there. Russell Wilson, Daniel Jones, and Matt Stafford. Stafford scares me a little bit. Daniel Jones really impresses me. I think he continues to run the ball. I think he continues to throw it a little more, a little better, a little more efficient. And then Wilson, it's this. Who knows? It's going to be boom or bust. But I think this is about where he ends up.
Yeah, it's funny. I think I'm hearing so much terrible stuff. People are scared of Daniel Jones, and Daniel Jones is a poor man's Lamar Jackson, Justin Fields, right? More or less.
I don't know about a
Who
four. I
could,
mean,
who could
I
perform
think
like? But you're gonna get Daniel Jones
I think
daily.
Daniel Jones is more of a poor man's Josh Allen. That's what Daniel Jones is, not Justin Fields or Lamar Jackson, because he's never going to run for that many yards.
Dude, he
Uh,
ran for what 700 last year?
yeah, that's Josh Allen territory. So he's a poor man's Josh Allen. Fields and Jackson are going to run for 1,000 yards. That's not really Jones's forte. But I mean, yeah, I would say he's definitely a poor man's Josh Allen. And after Joe, who else? Who you going to put above him? I mean, who's played well enough that you can actually go above Daniel Jones here?
Yeah, and I'm loving the Stafford bounce back as you are as well. I think it's spectacular, and Jared Goff's got my heart. And Daniel Jones was 1 month old when we graduated high school. Moving on.
So tier four, this is where I forgot one of the quarterbacks. That's Anthony Richardson. So I would definitely put Anthony Richardson here in this tier. I got Geno Smith, Jordan Love, Kenny Pickett, and you can see it's all the young guys. Pickett, Young, Stroud, Howell, Ritter. Put all of them in the same tier because this is the tier where they can, it's going to make or break them. And they can take that step up, but they kind of like got to earn their spot in the rankings. I'm just not going to put them in a top 15, top 10 position when they haven't really played that way yet. But Geno Smith scares me. I'm not a huge fan of Geno Smith. I see Geno obviously can resort back to the old Geno Smith. It wouldn't surprise me at all. I like Jordan Love. I think Jordan Love can do big things. Like you said, Kenny Pickett. Coming around on Bryce Young a little bit. I think he's going to be like a better quarterback in the beginning. I think it might level out a little bit. And then CJ Stroud, obviously the worst quarterback in the NFL after last night's preseason game. And then I got Sam Howell and Desmond Ritter, like all question marks. That's pretty much what this whole tier is question marks.
Yeah, I think it's for sure. Oh, there we go. For sure, I got Anthony Richardson now appearing. If you're on YouTube, that's in media there.
Oh yeah, look at that. Good job.
Yeah, the young guys like the Geno fear. I am totally with you in that. Jordan, I mean this would be the scary group. This would be our Halloween show right here. Did these guys scare us, or did they show they're the real deal? Desmond Ritter, I thought for sure you might have him higher. I know you're a big Ritter fan from the get go. As far as all those, like if you
Well, I
had
mean, he's in this tier. I mean, I can't put him
you put
above
him back
any of the.
south, yeah.
I can't put him in any of the guys in the other above the other tiers. Like I would take Desmond Ritter over Jordan Love in a draft. I mean, I would see that. I mean, I could tell myself that. So I mean, just because he's down there at the bottom doesn't really mean a whole lot. It's just whenever I wrote him down, that's just how it ended up.
Yeah, I'd probably almost take that. Put the rookies in one tier, put that, and then go to 7. But yeah, no, it's all right. This is the hold your nose and say a little prayer. See what you get.
So going over to tier five, I kind of messed this one up a little bit. I got Baker Mayfield field in this tier. He should not be there. He should be in the last. He shouldn't even be in the tier. I don't even know why I did that. But I got Brock Purdy, David Carr, Mac Jones, and I put Kyler Murray in this tier just because I didn't know where to put him. Now, if Kyler Murray plays, obviously he's going to be higher, but I don't know when he's going to play or how good he's going to be when he comes back. So we'll leave Kyler Murray here, and then obviously I'll put Mayfield in tier 12.
I think you should at least put him in tier 6. That would be at least just he is a starting quarterback. That's so at some point. There you go.
Ah,
There's
there we go.
in-game updates. Brock, does it make you sick to put Brock Purdy in there versus Trey Lance or Sam
I mean,
Darnold?
it hurts a little bit. I mean, if Trey Lance was playing, he'd be all the way up at you know tier 3. But here we got Brock Purdy down here in tier 5. That's just the difference in how you see these guys or and how much they can run. And then tier 6, it's like the worst quarterbacks in the NFL. You got Ryan Tannehill, Jimmy Garoppolo, Baker Mayfield. If any of these quarterbacks are on my team, I'm quitting. I would rather start a kicker,
Even with DeAndre Hopkins in Tennessee.
even with DeAndre Hopkins in Tennessee.
That's it. So tier 5 and 6, real quick, looking around. Tier 5, just you're a little more cautious with your quarterback because it is the most important thing that I'm willing to roll the dice on Murray. I think that's mainly our key difference with Kyler, pretty much, right? Like,
Oh yeah,
he
like I said,
plays, you think he jumps. Where would he be? Say Kyler Murray, you knew he would play in October. Most of our leagues are super flex. Would he be 3?
I mean, if I know he's coming back in October, yeah, I'd put him right there with Dak and Tua, right there in that area. But like, I just don't know, man. It's hard.
Yeah, like I'd probably swap Mac Jones with Ryan Tannehill because I think Mac Jones is total garbage. Ryan Tannehill
I,
at least has DeAndre Hopkins and Chig to throw to.
Mac, jo- Mac Jones was close to being in that tier, but he's a little younger. He still has a chance, so I put him in tier 5.
Yeah, and I mean, we know you're wrong on Baker, so I guess we need to figure out a bet for that one. That would be the way to look at it as we look at. As we close out, that's our quarterback show. If you want to hear running backs, that will be coming up. We are doing 2 shows for these 2 weeks over here. For these 2 weeks, and I am having major computer difficulties while I'm trying to do this. This is insane. We'll be doing 2 shows. There we go. We'll be doing 2 shows these next 2 weeks. The first show of this week will be quarterbacks. The next show will be a shorter show about running backs. Next week will be wide receivers, and the short show will be tight ends, which will lead us right into big draft weekend, getting us ready for bold predictions. As we close out, I got 3 redraft tips for you. 1 goes with today. Don't stick to strict rankings. If you're sitting there on the board and all of a sudden you're like, hey, I got to go right down this. I've seen guys do it. Heck, in my early days, I've probably done it where I'm like, okay, this guy's next on the list. I got to get him. I've seen an underdog. Don't stick to strict rankings. Go with what you think you got to get. I think you pretty much are 100% on board with that one, even in
Oh
tiers.
yeah, I mean that's pretty much what it is. I mean, if you go by rankings, you don't want to. You got 2 running backs and no wide receivers. I mean, probably don't want to continue drafting running backs just because they're the next best available player. At some point, you're probably going to have to get a wide receiver.
Yeah. Listen and read. Be in the know of injuries, camp battles, and etc. But don't overreact. Yes, Devontae Adams left practice with some sort of an injury. They say it's not big, but that's coach speak. It could be big. It could be small, but be in the know. Don't overreact yet.
Yeah, didn't George Kittle already get injured? So this is already starting.
It's an insane kind of stuff. Know your roster spots. If you start more at a position, draft accordingly. So your draft should also bank upon what your team needs. If we do in some leagues, like I've created some leagues where it's fun where you only have 1 of each position, then a bunch of flexes. It makes you create your own team. But if you're in a league where you start 3 receivers and 2 running backs, that does sort of change your thought. You still need some great running backs, but you're going to need some extra receivers to fill those holes. But also because running backs go down all the time. But just know your roster spots you have.
Yeah, it pretty much goes back to your rule number 1. Just know the rules to your league. I'm not a rules guy, so don't take my advice. Because I don't half the time I don't even know how many roster spots are available on my team. So, but yeah, if you want to be successful, know the rules. I mean, that's part of life. I mean, if you want to be good at anything, it helps if you know the rules and you follow them.
That sounds like JJ Wang's weekly wisdom.
You know what? I'm weekly wisdom. If you follow the rules, you're probably going to be successful to an extent. So that's my words of wisdom right there. So as always, trust yourself and trust the process.